You are live. Okay, we will reconvene to open session at 6:01. And the first thing that I get to do is the oath of office for our student board members. So is it Regan or Reagan?
It's Reagan.
Okay, Reagan. Okay. I want to make sure
Thank
used
you.
I used to work with somebody that she went by Regan, but now I have to remember you're going to go by Reagan, right?
It happens all the time.
And then Addison, are you there?
Yep.
Okay.
President Brown, could we have approval of the agenda, or we did approve it before closed session? I don't know if we want to.
We don't have to approve it again.
Okay.
No, I don't
Okay.
think we approved
Okay.
it then. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So
You just need to come in and say that we didn't vote on anything.
okay, that's right. Thank you. So we reconvene to open session and no action was taken in closed session. Thank you, Jennifer. I get ahead of myself here. So do the student board representatives have a copy of the oath too or not?
I have, yeah, we got someone.
Mhm.
You don't?
We do.
You do, okay. So I was gonna go in certain sentences, so I'll go, since you have a copy in front of you, I will go a little bit longer so we don't have to break it up as much, but so if Reagan and Addison will both raise your right hand. And first off, if you will state your name.
Reagan Chocolate Mueller.
Addison Pickrell.
Okay. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend
Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
okay, the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States,
but I will bear truth, faith, and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I will take this obligation freely
that I will take this obligation freely
that I would take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that
Without-
whoops, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Addison. I got it.
without any mental purpose or evasion,
Okay, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and I will
And faithfully discharge
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, both of you are now officially board members once we do the resolution. So welcome. Looking forward to your reports and any questions that you have during this year. So thank you for stepping up and doing this. Okay, we will go to 5B. We usually come and shake your hand now, but so it's kind of hard to do that at a distance learning. So we go to 5B, Resolution 2021-2, authorizing student board members Reagan Shacklet Mueller and Rancho Cotati High School and Addison Pickwell from Technology High School to make motions and to be added upon by the Board of Trustees, no, to be acted on by the Board of Trustees, except on matters dealing with employer employee relations, and closed session. Do I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Roll call. Where's our roll call person? Did Mindy disappear?
Sorry about that. I was muted.
Okay,
Okay. Trustee Brown,
yes,
Trustee Chimino,
Yes.
Trustee Gillis,
Yes.
Trustee Non,
Yes.
and Trustee Wiltermood.
Yes.
great. Thank you. Passes 5-0. So do we have public comments, Myra?
Not on any items on the agenda.
Okay, great. So then we'll go to 7A. So are the student board representatives ready and aware that they're on the agenda to do a student board members report? Yes?
They're
So
ready
let's-
to go?
Let's go with Addison first, please.
During these new times, Technology High School's ASB prepared for our new school year online and our digital freshman orientation strategically and effectively. Thanks to the pre-planning during the summer, our school's orientation went over fairly well, with minor technological bumps to be given during this environment. It was our school's first time having such a massive group of students on Google Meets, and it was a learning experience for all of us. Our team prepared an amazing welcome video for students to watch about our campus. In addition to this, breakout sessions during the orientation helped students get to know each other, as well as learn some survival tips for the school year. ASB student leaders were grouped into teams of 2 to 3, each with 9 to 10 new students, where they presented them a student-created document in Google Meet breakout rooms. Our leaders talked about digital citizenship, THS learning expectations, 10 tips every freshman should know, and tips for successful distance learning. Overall, thanks to the amazing folks in our ASB, we were able to turn our orientation into a wonderful experience for all new students. Our school started Wednesday, August the 12th, and our teachers welcomed our students and handed out materials and textbooks while maintaining social distancing guidelines. THS staff loved being able to greet students on the first day, even if it was from afar. For me, it was tough not to be able to go back to school, but it was a breath of fresh air regardless. Most of our students got their materials on time, and those that were unable to got their materials in other ways. Classes began the next day on Thursday, and it went smoothly and easily overall for our students. With Google Meet, our classes were able to discuss how to use Google Classroom and how to also interact with each other as we transition into a new year via Google Game Board slideshow. This game board was created by using the staff's Bitmoji characters and contains Google Classroom topics and tasks for students to complete each period. For instance, one period was instructed on how to use Google Calendar and how to set reminders as well as manage tasks, a key skill that will be effective throughout the entire year. Students are currently learning how to use the platform effectively and help manage. Oh, did you want to say something or? Okay. And help manage their homeschool balance as the line slowly begins to blur with school now being at home. Lastly, I would like to thank our THS booster parents for their assistance in raising money for our campus this summer and annual fireworks. We sold a record amount of fireworks this time around, almost doubled the amount from last year. Throughout our entire situation, our school has shown resilience and adaptability in our new normal, showing that no matter what we face, we will get through it and we will stay strong. Right now, many of our students are looking forward to an open and inviting environment to be themselves and perform as learners. In addition, our ASB leaders and staff members are trying to stay strong and demonstrate strong leadership skills while being continually challenged by our new school environment and our new way of learning. These new times can seem tough and challenging for all, but with new challenges and issues come new opportunities to learn and grow, and I can't wait for what this year will have in store for our community.
Thank you. So, Ryan, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like to begin my report by introducing myself. I'm Reagan Jacqueline Mueller, a senior at Rancho Cotati, and this is my 3rd year of leadership. I've always had a passion for leadership and creating memories for my peers. I would also like to say how honored, humble, and grateful I feel to be representing Rancho and working alongside so many hardworking people who care deeply about our district. School started on Wednesday, August 12th, and I feel we have been very successful while dealing with the challenges of distance learning. We've had a pretty dramatic change to our schedule. From having class at 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. in person, we now attend classes from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. In the afternoon, Rancho students have time to complete their work or attend teacher tutorial if they need any extra help. Um, students like this because they only have to actually be in class for 2 hours and then they can work at their own pace. Although we have been facing challenges, our counseling department has been working extremely hard to make sure all students have the information they need to flourish in this new way of learning. Despite having less time than previous years, students had their schedules on time to attend the first day of classes. Our drive-through pickup days have also been very efficient, although our senior pickup day was canceled yesterday because of the thunder and lightning. Students were able to drive through our parking lot and pick up books, PE equipment, food, computers, or anything else they might need for their classes. And ASB also has a new way of communicating with the student body. It is through a new app called Minga. Minga is a site specifically for Rancho students because we have our own little code where we can send it out to them and they get connected to Rancho through that code. This will keep them updated on events, take surveys, and they can kind of have a sense of school, although we're not physically at school. My personal job for Minga is posting staff appreciation on Tuesdays and Thursdays, as well as posting news from several of our departments if they have anything they want people to know. Minga will not only let the student body know what's going on, but also that we care and that we're there for them and their mental health. Sometimes we will post videos of dogs or cute animals to put a smile on someone's faces or just ask random questions to give them something to do. Minga has a lot of potential and I think it will become our primary news outlet for ASB at Rancho. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So do we have a Roanoke Park Cotati's Educators Association report tonight?
We do. I'm here.
Good,
All right. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Good evening, President Trustee Brown, School Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Perez. My name is Emily King, and I am the new Roanoke Park Cotati Educators Association President. I teach AP US History and 10th grade English at Tech High, and this is my 8th year in the district. I originally ran for this position because I am passionate about supporting our students and our community, and I know that when educators are supported and valued, they can be a force for the positive and necessary change that our world needs. As a historian, I have studied the labor movements of the past, and I understand that unions enable a respectful working environment between management and labor. In that vein, I hope to continue to foster collaboration between our educators, our district administrators, our school board of trustees, and the community at large. Although we are facing the greatest public education crisis we have ever seen, I know that there are so many opportunities for innovation in the way that we teach, the way that we learn, and ultimately the way that we live. I have been blown away by the dedication and flexibility that all CRP USD employees have shown in the face of such trying times. During my tenure as president, my first goal is to work with the district to implement long-term plans to support our educators. I'm happy to report that we are already making great progress towards this goal. We came to a mutually beneficial agreement with the district on a distance learning memorandum of understanding, or MOU, last week. We are confident that this MOU provides our members, our students, and our community with greater protections that will enable us all to stay healthy and safe during this unprecedented time. I want to commend Dr. Perez, Dr. Sinyard, Karen Tedesco, and the site administrators who came to the table willing to listen to our concerns and our ideas, and then worked with us to craft an agreement that was supported by an overwhelming majority of our members. In addition, I also want to commend our bargaining team, led by our new chair, Jim Gregoretti, who teaches at Lawrence Jones Middle School, for their tireless work in drafting, editing, and negotiating. Some of the highlights of this MOU include the ability for our educators to choose to work either in their classrooms or from a remote location based on their needs, clear definition of terms such as asynchronous and synchronous learning, learning blocks, office hours, student services, and these definitions are helpful in clarifying expectations. At least 450 minutes of prep time per week for all of our members, with an average of 90 minutes a day. Prior to distance learning, our elementary members only had 90 minutes of prep time a week. In addition, the MOU ensures a daily prep period for everyone, which was not the case in our contract prior to this. And then finally, this MOU ensures flexibility for educators in scheduling curriculum and responding to student and family needs. We are still in discussion with the district about a few issues, such as large class sizes and caseloads at some of our secondary sites, and the need to either decrease class size or determine overage pay in order to offset the increased workload. In addition, we're hoping to find a way to provide additional support for our members who are teaching combination classes, which is no easy feat during distance learning. However, we are meeting later this week, and they know that we'll be able to find a solution. In addition to the district learning MOU, RIPSIA has also drafted an MOU for hybrid learning, and we plan to meet with the district in the coming month with the goal of securing a tentative agreement sometime in September. We are very pleased with the collaborative and respectful negotiation process. Both parties held firm to the need to ensure the health and safety of our staff and our communities, and together we were able to determine a clear path forward for distance learning. We value our positive relationship with the district, and we want to continue to work together to plan for working conditions and wages that demonstrate the immense value and expertise of our educators. As finances are discussed and budgets are decided upon, we ask that you keep in mind the incredible hoops that our educators are jumping through right now in order to maintain a semblance of normalcy, develop positive classroom culture, even from afar, support parents and families, train themselves in new programs and technologies, and adapt units and lessons to a digital format. I'm not sure if you've seen some of those virtual classrooms that these teachers have created, but they're pretty amazing and they're inspiring, to say the least. At the end of the day, what we care about most is our students. The students are at the center of everything we do, but we cannot fully or adequately support students unless teachers are supported first. Another one of my goals as president is to advocate for anti-racist training and education across our school sites and curriculum. I know this is something that some of you have voiced support for in the past board meetings. And I'd like to ask the Board of Trustees and the district to work with RIPSIA to develop an equity and justice task force to evaluate, educate, and empower our staff and students. We are at a really unique moment as our community, our nation, and our world are at the crossroads between a fraught and painful past and what our future will hold. We have such an opportunity to be a force for change and good, but in order to do so, we need to look at the systems of oppression and power that operate in our institutions, including our schools and our classrooms. I believe the first step is to listen to our educators, students, and families about their experiences and where there's room for growth. Another important step is to continue the work to diversify our curriculum to allow for true representation. As a final note, I want to commend and show support for our CSEA colleagues. We know that these are difficult times for everyone. However, our classified staff continually go above and beyond to keep our schools running. Our campus supervisors, computer lab assistants, and library assistants are a large part of our schools. Currently, our combo and special education teachers need more support, so perhaps those individuals could support them. We understand the position the district is in, but we also see the value of our colleagues, and we ask the board to consider all possibilities for these dedicated members of our community. As the school year continues, I look forward to working with all of you to ensure the safety and success of our students and our staff. Please reach out to me with any questions, concerns, or ideas. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to 7C, receipt of official correspondence. Sonoma County Quarterly Treasurer's Report for the quarter ending June 30th, 2020, which is posted on the website. Any questions on that? Hearing none. Do we need to, that's just information. We don't need to vote on that, correct?
Correct.
Can you hear me?
Correct, yeah, no need to vote.
Okay. Then we will go on to the consent agenda. 8, the consent agenda.
Yeah, Les, I recuse myself from item 8D.
Okay. Thank you. Can I have a motion then to approve the consent agenda with Tim reclusing himself from 8D?
Hey, excuse me, Les.
Yeah,
I have an item on there that I want to talk about, and sorry, I'm trying to scroll down and find it. My computer
we,
just had a little glitch.
Krista, we should have pulled
I'm
that
sorry.
when we did the agenda. But you go
Well,
ahead
then,
and,
can I just ask a question about something that's on it then, or
Yes.
no?
no, you can ask a question, but in the future, what we should do is pull that item and then have discussion and then vote on it separately. But yeah, go ahead and ask questions, okay?
I apologize for that. I thought my power was going to go out. I just had a momentary blank screen. And so I can't even find the item number. It is about the short-term IT worker. So I don't know who to address that question to.
We'll just answer your question and we'll, whomever.
Okay, my question is this just a temporary position that is not going to turn into something full-time? My understanding on these short-term is that, and I could be wrong, it used to be that we couldn't hire short-term workers in a department where there were currently people available in that department to do that job. Has that changed? Or I'm just kind of concerned that we're laying off, or I don't know what word you want to use, 20 odd people, but then we're hiring. So if someone could just clarify that for me, please.
I'm happy to clarify.
Thank you.
Yes, this is a help desk position. It is a temporary position through December 15th. The reason for the position is really because we are on distance learning and it's temporary to help support the work. And it is allowed under Ed Code, and we're using one-time money. So it would be, we'd have the position while we were in distance learning is our thought. And we extended to December 15th just to support the IT department. For just a little bit of additional information, as a result of distance learning, we've probably tripled our work orders in terms of our goal is to support our parents and families as well as our teachers. So there's been that natural increase because we are, very close to one-on-one. The goal is to go one-on-one. So it's increasing the workload in terms of, having people log on. It's also the beginning of the year and getting people used to that. And we have new students that are coming into the system.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And I think that fell under ratification of personal action report 2021 for the classified, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with Tim recusing himself from 8D?
I move we approve the consent agenda item 8A through M.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. We'll go to 9A, Personnel Services. Resolution 2021-4 in the matter of reduction of discontinuance of classified services for the 2020-21 school year. So is this Myra or Julie or whom?
President Brown, we do have public comment on this item.
Okay.
And the resolution really is about folks that are not able to not have work because of lack of work. And we're also looking at the budget, but we would like to share the public comments. And I'm going to ask Dr. Sinyard to help me in reading the comments, and we'll take turns.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and begin. Hello, school board trustees. I'm writing to you tonight to ask you to reconsider the reduction elimination of classified employees listed in item 9A in your meeting agenda. These are hardworking, dedicated employees, and now is not the time to lay them off. I am asking that you find other areas that can assist our district families in IT resources help desk, mental health resources, assisting families needing extra help during distance learning. We need these positions when we return to in-person or hybrid learning. I ask that you delay your decision for this agenda item and have a task force put together to brainstorm all the areas these employees can assist our families in. Thank you for your time and consideration. Tracy C.
The next comment is from Cynthia Frazier. We, the middle school librarians, would like to express our concerns with the proposed layoff of our positions within the district. We are living in unprecedented times, and our students need to know that some things will remain constant. Their teachers, their friends, and for many, the use of the library and all the wonderful materials housed there. We have worked tirelessly over the years to provide our students with a safe and welcoming environment, as well as hard-earned new materials. We have held book fairs, hot dog and popcorn sales, received donations from our friends and family, and written many grants to purchase the books we now have on our shelves. If you elect to close our libraries, those hard-earned materials will walk away from the library, never to return. When librarians do return, the room will be gutted of materials, both reading and supplies left behind for things like repairs, book jackets, laminate, and any number of things that are needed to run the library. We know this because we have a history with library closures and what is left behind when we return. With libraries having no budget to replace these materials, we are left with a shell of a room that is of little use to our students, and the cycle of rebuilding begins again. We are a dedicated staff that has served our students through fire and floods, budget cuts, and reduced hours. It seems like the library is always the first place you choose to make cuts at the expense of our students. For some students, this is their safe place to be at lunch and breaks or before and after school. While we know these things will not be happening during this pandemic, the physical act of checking out books can still take place and make a difference to our students. We are now on a cloud-based library program that enables the students access to our library collections. What we are proposing is taking advantage of this program to provide our students with much needed resources. We would have the students email choices of books through the week. On a regularly scheduled day of the week, we would pull the books and have them ready for curbside pickup the following day with gloves and masks. The next week, we would have students return the books and leave them for the suggested time of 96 hours before checking in and returning to the shelves. Our students would have the use of the library for personal reading and school-related research. This is a service that our IT and food service people are already providing, so it would be an added service for our students. During the time we are not taking care of student-related requests, your librarians would be focusing on reading outdated materials, physical inventory of said materials, and repairs that continue to be put on the back burner due to time restraints. Please consider the cost that is at stake right now in books and materials that are outstanding. Across the district right now, we have approximately 1,500 overdue books at a whopping cost upwards of $38,000 that the district will not have funds to replace when you decide to open libraries again. Not only do the students lose out on the materials they need to be successful readers and researchers, the district loses thousands of dollars in library materials that will take years to replace. We hope that you will reconsider laying off the middle school librarians while making these important materials available to ones that need them the most, our students. After all, isn't that why we are still working in education, so our students receive the education they all have a right to? Thank you for listening, and we hope you side with the students' needs and your community who voted to keep the libraries funded and open for all students and find another way to balance your budget. Sincerely, Alicia Cartwright, Tech Middle School, Michelle Ramison, Lawrence Jones, and Cynthia Frazier, Lawrence Jones.
Okay, the next comment is from Nicole Hinman. We as a district and community can't afford to lose employees that hold positions that exist in-person school. There are so much that they can assist with happening now, and then save us when we return of training expenses. Tech issues happen every day, and working parents are getting help from other working parents. Teachers may also need assistance in elementary grades, getting printed material to students regularly. Please find other work to be done without letting go of vital positions, and save all the time down the line. There is plenty of work now.
Next comment is from Cal Nelson. I am writing to you in support of our librarians. I urge you to find a way to retain them through this challenging period. They are a vital part of our schools. At Lawrence Jones, Ms. Rasmussen and Ms. Frazier are much more than custodians of numerous educational materials, though that is certainly important. They make their biggest impact by working directly with students, giving them a safe space to help with classwork, to print out papers, learn how to research intelligently for projects, to be themselves, and connect with other students who share their interests. They provide support and encouragement for kids who have a hard time fitting in. I cannot emphasize how important this is on a middle school campus. The library is open before school, during lunch, and after school, providing a safe haven for kids when teacher access is limited. I feel that these talents, their ability to connect with students, should be utilized now more than ever during this challenging year. The question may be how to best use their time, but the need for their expertise is immense. Creative thinking may be required, but the benefits are well worth the effort and investment.
Next comment is from April Garcia. Agenda item 9A. While I understand the difficult times everyone is having financially, including school districts, we cannot afford to let go of staff that are familiar to our children. Our families are going through so much right now. Having a familiar face to help with an assignment via Zoom, tutoring, or to help with some IT issues would be priceless. Many children who relied on the Learning Center for extra help, but yet do not have a 504 or an IEP could truly use these extra staff members to help them. Not having on-campus classes does not mean we must get rid of positions. It means we must find off-campus tasks for them to do. If our students and teachers can adapt to this new distance learning platform, I am confident that those in these positions listed can do the same. Thank you for your time.
The next comment is from Samantha Thurston. I am writing to you in regards to the upsetting news about the potential layoffs of our beloved Lawrence Jones librarians. I urge you to find a way to retain them during this challenging period of time. I understand that these are incredibly difficult times for school districts and will take some creativity to figure out how to best utilize these wonderful librarians. But if anyone can adapt and rise to the challenge, Ms. Rasmussen and Ms. Frazier are the ones. Please give them a chance. I teach in one of the Sonoma County Office of Education special education classrooms on campus, and Ms. Rasmussen and Ms. Frazier have always been a major source of support and safety for my students. My students adore going to the library and seeing the librarians each week. My students don't always feel a sense of belonging on campus, but Ms. Rasmussen and Ms. Frazier have always treated my students with such kindness and respect. They make my students feel like they belong. They have also given my students the courage to explore the world of books, which can be a very challenging feat, believe me. As an educator and a human, I have always enjoyed experiencing the positive and safe atmosphere within the library. You can see it in the face of each student as they enter the building. There are no judgments, negativity, etc. It is an environment where they can explore who they are, their interests, go on adventures, and connect with others. Ms. Rasmussen and Ms. Frazier put their heart and soul into developing such a safe area for the students. It's evidenced in their daily interactions and the way they strive to find that perfect book for each student. Ms. Rasmussen wrote that wonderful grant to obtain more books for libraries' LGBTQIA section so the students could feel a stronger sense of belonging and community. How incredible. They are truly devoted to supporting the students on that campus as well as the educators. Again, I understand these are challenging times, but please reconsider. Their many talents could and should be utilized during this difficult year. Many students don't own a book at home. Perhaps consider how we can utilize our library and librarians to support those students. There are many needs during this distance learning that I know Ms. Rasmussen and Ms. Frazier would be great benefit towards solving, and I hands down believe it is well worth the effort and investment.
Next comment is from Claudia Lepe. I strongly disagree with eliminating library assistants, campus supervisors, and computer assistants. They can easily be utilized during distance learning. These are resources that our students that don't have computer literate parents and can help teachers and students with assignments. Not all parents will be able to help their students. When school is back in the classrooms, we need them again. Please consider keeping these positions.
Next comment is from Justin Otero. I am writing to you in support of our librarians. I urge you to find a way to retain them through this challenging period. They are part of our academic institution that make it whole. At Lawrence E. Jones, Ms. Rasmussen and Ms. Frazier are much more than overseers of the school's books and resources. They are educators. And without question, they are more than capable of adapting what they do at LJ in order to continue to serve students while distance learning, which they have been doing continuously while school has been in session. Additionally, they promote reading excellence and rigor through their role at our school and provide support and expertise to classroom teachers. They make an impact by working directly with students, teaching them how reading and literacy have value and inside and outside of the classroom. It is not hard to understand how important these librarians are to an educational institution that strives for and expects academic excellence. Librarians are a valuable resource to Lawrence E. Jones Middle School, to any school, and need to be retained in order to ensure their ability to support students, teachers, and the community.
Next comment is from Raina H. Please save our teachers, save the school workers.
Next comment is from Corinna Wheel. Hello, I am a social worker with CRPUSD. I am writing to ask that the classified positions of campus supervisors and librarians are not cut. Campus supervisors are hugely important. We need their support and they are so crucial in keeping the schools safe. Librarians are a vital part of the school community. Please consider looking elsewhere in areas that are not close to kids. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Next comment is from Kay Hawkins. Dear Dr. Perez and members of the board, August 18, 2020. I am saddened with the news of the proposed elimination of middle school librarian positions. I ask that you would consider the importance of these employees in our district. At Lawrence Jones Middle School, our library is dedicated to the Donaldson family who donated funds year after year to stock our library from its inception. When Creekside Middle School began, our librarians have raised funds to continue to grow the library by holding book fairs and writing grants. Last year, the librarians received a grant from the Ed Foundation, which was used to add a collection covering topics related to LGBTQ issues. Our library is teaming with materials that are regularly used by our student body, along with the inventory of over 15,000 books and other media. Our library is a safe place for students to be before, during, and after the school day. Our librarians, Ms. Fraser and Ms. Rasmussen, each put in a huge amount of effort that adds up to much more than a single position that they share. They each bring a particular expertise to the library, using their artistic talents, their interest in young adult literature, their capacity for organization, their knowledge of various cultural events, and their genuine care for the well-being and the comfort of middle schoolers to their job. When we are physically at our sites, the library is regularly the place to be for much of the student population, including our at-risk students. I suppose that the current thought is, why do we need librarians in our library when no students are on site? But like us teachers, our librarians have offered and will continue to offer services to our students while they're on distance learning. Last spring, while on distance learning, our librarians offered different types of Google Meets to our student body. They also offered tech support to help the students navigate online resources that were available through the Sonoma County Library website. They also offered Google Meets titled LJ Title Talks and Tea Time and LJ Librarians, with the LJ Librarians. Our librarians also helped with the annual student writing contest in May and gave prompt online feedback to support the students who entered the poetry, as well as acted as judges for the contest. Our librarians have brainstormed ways to support teachers and students again this year. They are proposing online request and checkout system with pickup, much like our county library is currently doing. Our English department has discussed the need for availability of titles to support our curriculum and encourage self-choice reading. Research supports that notion the students need to have a wide variety of material available, and obviously students who read regularly develop many different types of skills that will benefit them in their educational and adult lives. In the event that we are able to return to our site at some point this school year, it would be tragic if there were no access to a vast array of resources in our Donaldson library. Without librarians to keep track of the inventory, we would not be able to open the doors for students nor for teacher use of materials. It would be a disservice to all of the wonderful resources without available access. As you can see, our librarians are a vital part of the LJ family. I implore you to choose to keep our middle school library positions for 2021 school year. Thank you for listening.
Next comment is from Susan Holb Hensel. It has come to my attention that certain important staff members of CRP USD are going to be laid off sometime in October. This news is very unfortunate and will affect the school community in a negative manner. Campus supervisors, computer lab assistants, and librarians are crucial to keeping the spirit of our schools intact. It is hard to imagine how we would be able to replace the campus supervisors who have been with us for years and have given us so much to our campuses. They know the kids and they know the ropes and are always available when they are needed, which is daily. I understand that the librarians at Lawrence Jones Middle School have worked to come up with ways they can keep the library functioning during distance learning by helping with curbside distribution of materials. Parents do not want information coming to their students only through online sources. Books are essential to learning and growth. In addition, many teachers could use assistance from trained librarians to access resources for projects and other assignments. There is no doubt in my mind that their talents would be used by most teachers regularly as they are overwhelmed by the tasks set upon them by distance learning. This is a difficult time, however, showing solidarity with and supporting those who contribute tirelessly to the culture of our schools is very important. Please help the Board of Trustees to reconsider these layoffs.
Okay, next comment is from Jenny Cooney. We want the school district to keep these positions because they can help in other areas that our school district is currently overwhelmed. In family outreach, helping networking for our IT issues, mental health concerns, and maybe assisting families who need extra help during distance learning.
Next comment is from Alicia Cartwright. Dear Cotati Rohnert Park board members, I am Alicia Cartwright. For 33 years, I have worked for the Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School District. I am currently the library assistant at Technology Middle School and also the administrator of the L4U library program. This is a library system all sites use in their libraries. As the administrator for L4U, I train new library assistants and problem solve as the need arises at all sites. From checking out material, entering new material, moving students to next grade level, it all happens in L4U. We are upgrading our L4U program from web-based to the cloud. Again, I am learning something new and need to share with all sites. This new cloud will allow students to see their school's library collection from anywhere. That's great news. All libraries need to do a physical inventory to make their collection current and in shelf order. This is a huge undertaking, but now is the perfect time. Some call it weeding the collection, but basically it means checking your L4U inventory against the shelf where the book lives. If material is outdated, then pull it from the shelves. Most sites have cases of books ready to put on the L4U system, but no time to enter the new material. All sites have hundreds of books still out from spring break. Together, they total in the thousands. We have worked hard to fundraise to buy new books and material to process for the library shelves. Students stand in line to be on the list to read a new purchase. Librarians are so back-to-back with students, this is impossible to do during their given hours. Now is a perfect time to get it all together. We can work independently with help from me and just an email away. I respond with a snipping tool success, new book entered. All problems can be readily solved with an email to me. Librarian assistants are the most loyal, accommodating people. They love their jobs, but mostly it's the students' happy faces that make their day. Please consider retaining the librarians as their work for the year has just begun.
Next comment is from Dina Morgan. I recently was informed that campus supervisors, computer lab assistants, and library assistants will be at risk of being let go. We are parents of 6 children in our district, and I will tell you personally that each one of these positions holds so much value to my children. I understand that during this time when the children aren't on campus, one may think it might be necessary, but it is not. The folks that do these jobs don't do it for the money, that's for sure. They do it because they know the impact that it holds for kids. The librarian, for one, according to my kids, is held to a high position. She is there in the mornings to help guide kids who don't have printers at home and to help them. She is there to provide a place at lunch to make reading books way more interesting. She has provided clubs and helps those that don't fit in. The same holds high for all of the book positions. These are people that care for our kids and do jobs that not too many people want to do. Who really wants to walk around for hours telling kids what to do and sometimes getting the worst attitudes back from these kids? They do. They are us, parents and grandparents, when we can't be there. They are there to keep our kids safe and on track. Our kids can act grown, but in reality, they need someone there. Our elementary school once lost our computer lab assistant. Even myself thought no big deal. It was my children who informed me that when the lab teacher isn't there, it's boring and the kids start doing things they aren't supposed to, and it is not challenging. And she was and is of value. If it weren't for her, distant learning might not have gone so smooth for some. Some assume everyone has a working computer at home. Well, not everyone does, and the lab assistant is one who helps children get comfortable and learn to navigate these machines, sometimes better than parents. She also teaches them computer safety. Lord knows we appreciate that. All of these people are of value. They are not the bottom of the barrel. There are plenty of ways to utilize them during this time, especially once we go back to school. Given them options, don't just dispose of them like they hold no meaning. All I am saying is that when school is in session, we treat these positions with value and appreciation, and we should continue. What happens, it takes a village, or even everyone has a purpose. I am thankful that when the school was just normal, they went above and beyond to make sure kids had good days, especially when they were shooting drills were happening. It was those people that the kids looked up to for safety. Find a way, it is possible.
Next comment is from Jennifer Smith. Please do not cut the positions noted on agenda 9A. We desperately need those positions for our students.
Next comment is from Michelle, Michelle Wing, exponentially learning parent. Okay, agenda item 9A. Dear school board trustees and superintendent Perez, I'm writing today on behalf of the Expeditionary Learning Parent Association. The Parent Association is asking that you consider the eliminating the following positions for 2021 school year. 9 campus supervisors, 2 computer lab assistants, and 7 library assistants. Instead of laying off these staff members, have you considered asking for volunteer layoffs? The staff members who choose to stay can help out in other areas of the school, such as assisting teachers with their curriculum and workload and being a resources for students who are at home without supervision or guidance. These positions could be utilized to help support families who have full-time working parents and students who may be in a poor learning situation. When we are able to return to school, it would be sad to see our libraries close and campus supervisors not available for our students. Many students rely on our libraries as a safe and secure place to go when we are not able to be in the classroom. Our librarians offer a wealth of knowledge that enhances our student learning experience. We understand that over a couple of months ago, very difficult decisions will need to be made. We hope that you can take a step back and look at creative ways to utilize the amazing human resources that we have in our district instead of laying them off. The decisions you make today are going to have a lasting effect on our students' education. Please reconsider before you take these valuable resources away from our students. Respectfully, the Expeditionary Learning Parent Association.
That was the final comment.
That concludes all of our comments for tonight.
Okay, thank you. So,
Let's time out, please. Wasn't there another one from Laura Defendahl? I think Kirby sent that to you, Julie, and there was Denise Tranfolia.
No, let me see.
Yeah, she,
Okay, so I will get them.
let me look too, hold on.
Okay, oh, sorry, it came in after, wait. No, I don't have that.
Okay, let me ask Kirby to send those. Board President Brown, can we take a 5-minute break?
sure.
Can we do that? And then we can get those?
Okay,
Is that okay, Myra? Okay.
Yes.
sure. So we will take a 5-minute break, and as soon as we have those, let us know, and we will reconvene. Okay?
Yes.
So I have a question about how comments, I know we haven't reconvened, but just if somebody can let me know, how are comments submitted and received for your list? Because we're getting information that other people have submitted and they weren't received. So are we real clear on how comments are submitted to board agenda?
If I may talk on that real quick. We do have a news event on the crpusd.org website.
Right.
Has the submit public comment form built into it. The moment you click on that, you are prompted to put in your name and your comment.
Okay, so this person said they used that. So do you get a verification that your comment is accepted, or do you?
And then we're able to pull everything onto a list, and the updated information has already been sent to Julie and Minnie.
So do you cut
And
that off at 6 o'clock?
I do see that there's Maha Gregoretti has sent one since we've looked. So we have 3 that need to be read that I
Okay,
believe Julie was just sent the 3 of them. Kirby,
Thank-
did you send the last one?
I want to be flexible, but at the same time, I just want people to understand how, and this is all new, you go about.
Guys, we're still on live too. Just so folks know. Kirby, my last comment is cut off from Maha Gregoretti. Can you resend that to me? It is not showing. Please.
The submitted comment was on the landing page of CRPUSD. It took me digging around for like 15 or 20 minutes to find it. I would not have thought to look under what's new for comments. I looked under the board. So maybe we need to move it to a place that's a little more accessible.
Or just
for people.
make sure when you go to board agenda, if you're going to make a comment, this is how you do it.
Can I just
Yep.
interject here? Can we go
Sure.
back to Kirby and have him explain it? Because public comment is on the front of the web page. As soon as you open the web page, public comment is right there.
I just looked and I do not see it.
Kirby, would you weigh in, please?
It's there now, but it was not. Oh, it's there, but it's part of the scrolling. It's not like a landing page. It's a scroll of like 6 different things.
Kirby,
There's like a choir picture and, different things. So it's not just static, I guess.
That was I was muted there. So it is a static news item. There should be 3 that are on there. And if you click left and right, you'll be able to scroll through it. We can look at alternative solutions, but as of right now, that's how we've been doing it at the moment. We can try to look at some other options though in the future. Maybe we can even look at our social media in order to inform people of maybe some cutoff times and things of that nature.
But you're saying if it scrolls through, is there any way of just locking it there? So if you log on and you're not at that scroll, you don't see it?
It's not an auto scroll. You'll actually have to scroll through it if you wanted to pass it.
Okay, all right. All right. So does Julie have the last 3 comments, or Myra?
I have 2, but one of the comments are cut off. And Kirby, I'm not sure if you were speaking with me. Can you resend in some format the comment from Maha Gregoretti, please?
Yes, it should be in your email box.
Thank you. All right.
You got them?
I believe so.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you. All right, we're back on live. Our 5-minute break's up.
Okay. The next comment is going to be from Maha Gregoretti. Dear Board of Trustees and Dr. Perez, my name is Maha Gregoretti and I'm a teacher at Technology Middle School. I am writing this letter to you because I was very saddened to see that your agenda includes eliminating positions for campus supervisors and library assistants. These members of our school community bring so much dedication and expertise to their jobs. There have been many times during my career and experience as a parent that campus supervisors and library assistants have saved the day. For example, they step in when a teacher falls ill and has to leave midday in order to help students stay focused and continue learning. They are the motherly and grandmotherly figures that our students have come to depend on. Frankly, they give the school community more than we have a right to ask for and more than we sometimes deserve. Personally, I know that when my son, Giancarlo, went to LJMS, he would always bring thank you cards to the librarian because it was Miss Cindy Frazier who kept him company at lunch and Miss Frazier who helped him with assignments or finding a good book to read. For 28 years, Miss Frazier had done that and more for countless students. Students loved going to John Reed Elementary's library because it was always decorated with fantastical scenes of magical mermaids and buried treasure, because Miss Frazier and her daughter had spent the summers decorating it for the kids to enjoy. I want to specifically bring your attention to Miss Alicia Cartwright, a dedicated library assistant for the past 33 years who has worked all over this district. And luckily, when Tech Middle School reopened, it was Miss Cartwright who got our students the books and supplies they needed to make a virtually empty library a haven for books and reading. Ms. Cartwright has held numerous fundraisers, scoured the community for donations, and spent much of her own money to make the library an actual library. Do you wonder where the barcodes on books come from? Ms. Cartwright has to buy the materials with her own money. Do you wonder how books get repaired? Ms. Cartwright buys the special tape to do that. Do you know where kids can go after school to get homework help? That's right, Ms. Cartwright. She does more than is asked every single day, and it was Ms. Cartwright, not IT, who helped our students with their iPads, including repairs and troubleshooting problems with hardware, software, and connectivity. I can also personally attest that campus supervisors help keep our campuses safe. They have eyes on all the students and they know when something is wrong. Campus supervisors help avert fights and they bravely step into some scary, sad, or even dangerous situations. Mostly though, campus supervisors are adults who care. I know a few students who consider the campus supervisors their only friends at school because they don't have any friends their own age to talk to on campus. So trustees and Superintendent Perez, I implore you to do the right thing and find a way to keep these dedicated district employees employed. I think you're all smart people who can problem solve and find ways to use these wonderful employees in new or different ways in our district. So please do that. In the words of civil rights icon John Lewis, I see something that isn't right, isn't fair, and isn't just, so I've got to say something and do something. And I'm asking you to put a stop to these layoffs. The next comment is from Denise Tranfalia. To the Board of Trustees, I am writing in grave concern for the agenda item 9A concerning resolution 2021-4, the recommendation to reduce and or eliminate 13.7407 FTE as early as October 23rd, 2020. I have been honored to work in the school district for the last 23 years and have witnessed leadership changes, curriculum standards change, watched the educational pendulum swings, and economic downturns. One constant is the dedication of the classified staff in this district. These educators are the boots on the ground, the eyes and ears for many teachers and administrators, the aunties and uncles of our school sites, the workhorses in our computer labs and libraries. The header of this meeting's agenda states, all students are entitled to a successful education. Our focus is learning. We are a team. I implore the board to remember this vision statement. Students utilize these educators to ensure a successful education. Teachers utilize these educators to support our focus on teaching. Administration utilizes these educators to work as a team to ensure the safety and smooth running on our campuses. If we are really a team, then let's act like a team. To eliminate and or reduce these positions for the 2021 school year is horrendous. I understand the complications and fragility of our current school budget. These are tough times. I urge you not to eliminate or reduce these 9 campus supervisors, 2 computer lab assistants, and 7 library assistants. All are essential positions. Act like a true team. Respectfully submitted. And I believe I have the last comment. From Lauren Defendall. The proposed layoffs to campus supervisors, library assistants, and computer lab assistants are aimed at some of the lowest paid members of CRP-USD staff. However, many of these employees carry the insurance for their families. Has thought been put into doing furloughs instead of layoffs? I understand these are tough times, but cutting insurance to employees, several with over 20 years in the district during a pandemic seems cruel at best. I cannot speak for everyone, but I know that the campus supervisors from RCHS have been working each day since the first day of school.
Okay, and President Brown, may I talk about, a little bit more about the item?
Sure,
Okay.
please.
Yes, This is really a difficult decision, and after careful consideration, looking at the current needs of the district, we're making this challenging recommendation. Our responsibility is really to maintain the fiscal integrity of the district. And these employees, should you decide to approve this item, they would go on the rehire list, and we would call them back when we needed the positions. So that's my comment for you. I don't know if there's any questions.
Questions from board members?
I have a question. Being that we're laying off librarians, does this impact the way it's spelled out for Measure D funds to be spent? Was that looked into? And then my other question is, were any of these employees given the opportunity based on seniority to take a different position?
We have not done that at this time in terms of different positions. There's a possibility we could have different positions and they could apply. I need to get some information in terms of the HR rules. Robert, do you have information about Measure D?
I'm sorry, I missed the question from Trustee Wiltermuth. What was the question on?
So my question is regarding librarians. Part of our verbiage in the passage of Measure D, I believe, was bringing more funds so that we could reinstate our librarians. So
Yes, that's
coming from that.
That's correct. That is part of the funding source, but we also have other obligations or other things that we can spend those resources on. Part of the challenge in this is looking at ways that we can identify savings for our reserve to help us kind of weather the upcoming storm we know is coming. Right. And that's what partially why we're recommending putting forth this item.
And also another thing to consider is that bumping is possible. So if these employees have held different positions in the district, they could bump into that position and it could trigger impact for other employees.
Another question is, so with the layoffs, correct me if I'm wrong, but their layoff wouldn't technically be till October 23rd, is that correct?
Correct.
And so if by that time frame, we know we're going to reopen to hybrid, would that impact their position?
Yes.
And
I think these are positions that we know that we could use once we're open and we would rehire.
Okay. Then another question I have is, with not having their same job right now to do, if there is any way to have them, I don't know what they're doing now that we're not in school, but if there's any way that we can maybe readjust and have them start looking at writing some grants and maybe helping to look at other sources of income for the district.
Most certainly we can look into that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm concerned about the wording of reduce and or eliminate. And there's been some discussion about school not resuming in October. Perhaps we're going to December. So it may be a longer period of time, but I have to agree with Jennifer. I think that we should take a look at, from what I'm hearing, that there's so many areas in the district that we need resources right now. And I think teachers, librarians and that sort of thing, especially with people who have 33 years of experience, I just think that we could use them somewhere else. Whether it's in IT, whether it's helping students get online, rapid identity. I mean, I've talked to some parents who have said, I get IT is overwhelmed, I get it, and this is not a knock at IT, but I've heard from parents that have been trying to get their kids on since Thursday, opened a ticket, they've heard nothing. So I just think that we could use these people in other areas where we're hurting for resources.
I just want to remind the board that if we do change any of their job duties, it requires negotiation with CSEA. So just a reminder.
Mm-hmm. What is the total savings, Robert?
We're looking at it, if these positions were laid off for the entire year. We're looking at close to $383,000 for this year. If for some reason, or if we do resume, we looked at it from 2 points of time, basically for the full year. And then we looked at it, say, and we just said, well, what if it's December 31st? The savings would be 112,000. So obviously, if we return to distance learning after December 31st, there would be more savings than the 112, or less would be if we return sooner than that.
Have we had any more contact with Creighton regarding casino funds since they have remained open?
No, we have not. We have not. They're the ones that generally reach out to us, and basically we have not heard of anything on when those funds would resume. If you recall, when we initially got the grant, they were opened for a considerable amount of time before we actually started receiving funding on that. So I'm doubtful that they would have been open long enough or get enough business to basically resume paying for that grant.
All right. I have seen them doing some other things, so I think it's worth a check-in with them.
Sure. Yes, we can do that.
What happens if we table it right now and look into it a little bit more and then vote on it, or see what kind of situation we have for the next meeting a month from now?
If we choose to table it, remember that it is a 60-day, so that will push out payment. The classified employees get 60-day notice, so that would push it out another month. So we wouldn't have as much savings, but we can certainly do that if that's something that the board would like to do. I just want to make you aware that we wouldn't have as much savings.
I'm just looking at December, $112,000 for 18 employees, some of who've been here 33 years. Even if you eliminate the position and try to get them back next year, where are you going to, or get someone else, where are you going to get that kind of experience in our district? It's just not going to be able to be found.
Yeah, not to dismiss your comments, Krissa, but the amount for the full year would be $382,000. The 112 was if we returned after December.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, Lef, I have a comment
Okay.
or a question. Since I've been on the board, and we've had to deal with this issue of layoffs and budget crises before, the rule of thumb that I've always understood that we operate on is to make cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. And at least in the case of the librarians, I think this it's clear from letters from teachers and others that this will have a direct impact on students. And so have all other opportunities been exhausted?
Trustee Nahn, I wanted to remind you that this is really related to this first thing. This piece we're looking at is strictly related to the distance learning and the lack of work.
I understand. I understand
right.
that. Yeah.
So we know that as we move forward, we have some very serious levels of deficit that we're going to be encountering over the next couple of years. And we know that we've reformed the budget committee, and we'll be looking at other areas in order to capture either more revenues or less expenditures.
I understand, but my question is, given those parameters, have all other areas for cuts been exhausted?
No, that'll be part of what the budget committee will be working on. Again, this is just the first initial thing we're looking at, and it's strictly related to the lack of work due to distance learning.
Because what concerns me is if we came back and said we're going to go with a hybrid model in October or after October, then like Krissa said, we might have already lost the librarians who have these decades and decades of experience and relationships with students. And so I just don't understand why these cuts are being made that really impact students and impact teachers who need the help of librarians to, even with the distance model, I can see why teachers in their letters would say, that we still rely on the librarians for resources and assistance. And it just seems like this violates the rule of thumb of making cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. That's my main concern.
We certainly appreciate your comments. We could certainly pull off the librarians if that would help. But currently, we did our research. We did a lot of careful conversation, and we're trying to really work to balance our budget. That's our goal, and we want to be able to meet our obligations. So no, so I just wanted to. We're happy to.
Yeah. But are you saying that the librarians could not serve any purpose during distance learning?
Well, currently, after the conversations we had, we felt that this would be a way to save some money temporarily. We definitely don't want to lose, our intention is not to lose good employees. It's just we're trying, it's a difficult situation. We're on distance learning. So the work has changed for folks. And we have to be careful about changing work responsibilities. It's not always easy to change the responsibilities of employees because we would have to negotiate with our union leaders. So that's my statement. So,
well, President Brown.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. How do I go about tabling this item?
Well, let me make one more comment before you.
Well, I had something to say too.
Well, this can be tabled by not if it doesn't pass. If we don't get a motion in a second, it doesn't go forward. Okay. And then if a motion in a second, if it doesn't get the appropriate number of votes, it won't go forward. So those are two things. Or we can make a recommendation to table it if we want to go forward that way too. So there's several options there. So my comments are, this is just one of many decisions going forward that we're going to be faced with. The inevitable is we do have financial situations, and none of these decisions are going to be easy. All these decisions are going to hurt. We have reduced a lot away from the classroom. I like the idea of going back to Grayton and see if by chance their doors are open. I see people in their parking lot. If they could turn their grant back on, that would be great. But inevitable, we are going to have some tough decisions and not happy decisions. So that's just my 2 cents now. And if we can put this off going forward, there's, this is a savings of 300,000. I'm sure Robert, or 380 for the whole year. We're going to have to find 308, figure out some other way, whether revenue or cuts or whatever, to balance our budget, because we can't go on forever kicking the can down the road. While I agree all these things are valuable, I just want to introduce that before we go forward. Okay, other questions or comments?
Yeah, I have something to say.
Let Joe go. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm just looking ahead, and everything's very unknown, and it could push out to the end of the year. But I think having the people on hand is an extremely valuable resource, especially if we have to go back in October as a hybrid model. I've gone over in my head, and I'm sure everyone else is how do we take temperatures? How do we check in people? How do we do all these extra things we're thinking about. And to me, it's the resources, like a personnel resource to do all these things. And even though that's October or maybe December, you still need training, you still need to get people ready. And I think it's more of a value to keep, the value people that we have on hand and try to figure something else out for them, or, put it out there to see if anyone wants to take a break or step down for, take a leave of absence or whatever it is, if they want to do that, and then, reevaluate to see what we can do. And another thing I want to say is that I'm sure this is an extremely hard thing for the staff to come to us and come up with this plan. And, there's probably things that I'm not thinking about or don't know, but I just see us coming to a point to where we're going to need more people than we probably have right now to do, just to get the kids back into school, and to not have those people ready to go or trained or negotiated. That to me, it's like we're going to be scrambling even harder. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Tim.
Yeah, I just want, thanks, Lev. Just one last comment. And I just want to say to Myra and Robert and others that I really appreciate all the hard work. I know you put a lot of really hard work into this, and it's not like I'm overlooking that. But, and then in response to Lev's comment about having to make tough decisions, I understand that we are looking at a series of tough decisions that we have to make, but we also need to have a standard for making cuts. And the standard that we've always operated under, as far as I can tell with my knowledge of the history of the district, is that the rule of thumb is to make the cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. We've clearly heard from teachers and other staff that this is going to have a direct effect on their work as educators, and an indirect effect on students losing these valuable people. And so I just haven't heard a response that satisfies me that we're following that rule of thumb of making the cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. Maybe I'm missing something, but I haven't heard that explained adequately.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Any other questions? So we've got several options here. I can put this up for motion, and if it doesn't get a first and a second, we won't go forward. If it gets a first and a second, we'll vote on it. Or am I hearing we want to table this for a month? So
I want to table it.
So I got one person wanting to table it.
I want to table it.
That's two.
Same. I want to table it too.
That's three. So by that, if we were going to vote, it looks like it won't get a vote that way. That's what I'm anticipating. So Jennifer, is that okay?
I know we have a lot of difficult decisions that we have before us. It's going to be a long, dark road. I don't think the public really understands the direction that we are heading. Like every direction, I mean, every district around us we're all going to be going that same dark hole. But I think education in itself is going to be reinvented, and we have to start looking at it and thinking about it with our union groups, and know that changes are going to need to be made. So if things need to be restructured and job type, the job roles are going to change, and everyone, we've been flexible. You guys have been really flexible, but it's going to have to continue to be flexible in order for us to succeed and move forward. That's benefiting all of our kids and keeping everybody's families healthy.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer. So Myra, it seems like the majority of the board would like to table this for at least a month to next month to see what alternatives that the board members brought up can be discussed and brought forward. We've got union situations and duties and other things to go forward and bring us back to us next month when we will revisit this again.
I do have a question too regarding the committee. When are you guys looking at that beginning?
The budget committee?
Mhm.
So that, Myra?
Yes, we have to work on that. We're gonna be working on developing that and probably begin meeting as soon as September, I would say, probably middle. Robert, would you say that's an adequate amount of time we would be meeting around September?
Yes, I believe that would allow us enough time to get the committee set up and start moving forward. A lot of work to be done.
So Robert, are the decisions made from that committee primarily for the budget year 21, 22 and 22, 23?
That would be my my understanding of it. I think part of what we're doing here, and you'll see when I present the 45-day budget revision, is we've already started looking at ways for this year. That would include the item that just got tabled. And basically we were looking at ways that we can save some money this year, start building up our reserve, and then the committee would start tackling the kind of a multi-year way to look at it over the next 2 to 3 years and making cuts. As long as the funding continues to be at flat funding or even negative, what we're getting now, it's going to be an ongoing process for multi-years.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions before we move on to 10A? Hearing none, we'll do 10A, the proclamation 2021-3 declaring September as a school attendance awareness month.
I'd like to introduce our Director of Student Services, Mr. Matt Marshall, to talk to us a little bit about attendance. You're on mute, Matt.
Turn the light on so it wouldn't be such in the dark.
Ooh, we're not hearing you, Mr. Marshall.
Matt, can you hear us?
Yeah, but we can't hear him.
I know. He's going ahead with his spiel without looking at his.
Oh,
Matt, can someone text him and say, Matt?
He can hear us. Matt, would you like me to read what the little blurb? Thank you. Okay. We were prepared just in case we knew fires. We had a backup plan. So it's not a fire, thank goodness. We've just got technical difficulties.
Look at him far away. He's up in the mountains. Somewhere.
I wish I was there. No, I am not. No, this is my favorite background picture.
Yeah.
So as is Matt's. Okay, so September is Attendance Awareness Month. For several years, school boards across California have adopted resolutions declaring September as Attendance Awareness Month. By adopting this resolution, the Cotati-Rohnert Park Unified School District Board of Trustees is making a clear declaration to our students, staff, parents, and community that attending school regularly, even during distance learning, is vitally important for student academic growth and social emotional well-being. We want our kids here. Again, it's a different format, but it's the fact that our kids are coming to their Google Meets every day, extremely important, and attendance, we're still focusing upon it.
Okay, thank you. Questions from anybody? If not, may I have a motion to accept the proclamation 2021-3 declaring September as a Student Attendance Awareness Month?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Is this a roll call or a vote?
Yes, roll call.
I gave you two things. Yeah. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Chimino,
Yes.
Trustee Gillis,
Yes.
Trustee Nan,
Yes.
Trustee Wilchermuth.
Yes.
And we'll go to 10B, approval of the consolidated application for categorical programs.
Bringing this to the board, basically the consolidated application is a reporting of how we spent our dollars in the 1920 school year based on our LCAP, and that was performed. We will also be bringing more information for the learning continuity and attendance plan. Expect that coming September 15th, which will show how we are going to spend all our dollars in the upcoming school year through distance learning. And more information, to stay tuned, but just another report that we've completed and check in the box. Here we go, federal dollars.
Okay, any questions? If not, may I have a motion to approve the consolidated application for categorical programs?
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 0. 10C, approval of education services contract for 1920-21. So Julie, do you have this?
I do. Again, these contracts are a continuation. A number of these contracts are renewals for continuing work that was in our LCAP previously. And then we do have a number of contracts that are new for distance learning to help teachers with online curriculum. I'm willing to take any questions anybody has about any of our current contracts.
Any questions?
Julie, which ones are new?
We have some of the new ones that we haven't used before are Newsella, which is a curated resource which helps teachers with English, ELD, science, and social sciences. It helps thousands and thousands of articles have been curated, so that will be a resource for teachers and students to do research. The WeVideo platform is a new purchase for us. And the Pivot Interactives, which video lab software for support with labs that have to be distance now for physics and biology, and Edpuzzle. The last one is interactive video lessons. So more of the interactive video is new because of the distance learning.
Okay, thank you.
So Julie, with the is LCAP being put on hold?
It is. There is not one for this current year. The learning continuity and attendance plan is taking the place of that for right now. So that's what we'll be bringing to the board for a public hearing on September 15th, and then for approval on September 22nd. We're just starting working on that, and it is a really quick turnaround time, but it looks very similar to the LCAP. And again, they picked the same acronym. Really, you had to pick 2 LCAPs. But it does look very similar, and there's very specific instructions of how we are mitigating learning loss, how we are involving stakeholders, how are we spending our federal dollars in terms of best supporting our families during distance learning. So that will be forthcoming and very.
So my question is, if some of these are ongoing contracts, do they all pertain to services needed?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
okay.
Yes. These, again, will they continue after this year, after distance learning? We'll see if this is, we'll see what happens and what the teacher feedback and the needs assessments that we kind of move forward well to see if we continue with these resources.
Okay. Any other questions from board members? If not, then may I have a motion for 10C, approval of educational service contracts for 2020-21, please?
So moved.
Okay, I heard a so moved and a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. We'll go to 10D, reopening school plans update. Who has this? Myra?
Dr. Sinyard.
Oh.
She's been working fast and furiously.
Lots of writing this summer here. So we presented the reopening of schools plan. Again, want to really reiterate that this is a living document. Again, as COVID-19 has changed so quickly, and there's so many updates and information that we had back in June when we first started writing this document, changed. This is the most current information we have. Again, it will be updated throughout the school year, again, especially when we come back into hybrid model. Again, making sure that we have every piece of information to keep our staff, students, and families safe. We will include more as we go along. Right now, we wanted to create a manageable document for folks to read. Even it is 20 pages, it is still long, but really tried to synthesize our information and keep the most essential pieces for our families as we've entered this new school year. So again, thank you. I want to thank everybody all the families who participated and really helped us with the survey data. Again, as you've heard us say before, we've moved from crisis learning to distance learning. And again, as our new RIPSIA president, Emily King, kind of mentioned, she did a great job saying the Herculean tasks that our teachers have performed to move from, oh my goodness, what do? We now know that every child has a device, that kids have access to the technology that we need them to utilize. And so really how we're transforming our teaching and learning, and just thank everybody for all the hard work that they have done.
So the 19-page plan, I'm assuming at some point it's going to get quite bigger. I read it twice just in case I missed something. It looks like we're missing a lot of procedures.
Correct.
Like who's going to test people on campus, how that's going to occur, all those sorts of things that are really important, obviously. I'm assuming we're going to get that in there before we would reopen.
Correct. And the RIPSIA president, Emily King, had also mentioned that as well, saying we're going to do 2 MOUs. We've done our MOU for distance learning. And now as we move to work toward our hybrid, knowing that was down the road, we focused on opening our schools first. And now we'll go through more of the procedural piece and working with our labor partners to figure out a lot of this absolutely needed information.
And please.
So we'll get that information incorporated into this plan so that we can all see it.
Correct. And we definitely it needs to be flexible. Again, I want to repeat that it is a living document and it could change. We've seen the information change month after month. So as we move into hybrid, we suspect we might have some different criteria, some different protocols, and then we will include those, and we can certainly include it as an addendum and be very specific about the procedures.
Okay, thank
you.
Evolve.
It'll definitely evolve as a plan.
Hey, Julie, this is Tim. I have a question for you.
Sure, Tim.
I listened to it again today, and I thought it was really well written and clear, and I think you did a great job on that. So thank you. I just have a minor question, and I'm sure these came from state guidelines, but when you said, I think it said if 25% of the schools are closed, then the district would close. Is that right?
Correct.
And what I didn't understand in practical terms is, what does that mean in terms of our school sites? Because I assume, if my math is right, that would mean 3 schools. So, but what if Ranch closes? Because, there's so many students there and staff. I mean, would that count for more than one? I mean, how do you stick to that, strict mathematical formula?
Great question, Tim. And you know what I would do? The first thing I would do, I'd be on the phone with County Public Health. And so I would be taking a lot of direction from County Public Health. So if we start getting, a big part of this will be the contact tracing and working with them. You're right, those are the guidelines that are produced and given to us from the County Office of Education. If we start we come back and we have these high numbers, I can guarantee you I will be on the phone directly with Public Health and they will be directing us how to proceed. Great question.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, thank you for that update. We will go to 10E, the education or special education distance learning plan.
Great, and it is my pleasure to introduce our Director of Special Education, Rachel Allen, and Rachel's prepared a presentation for you.
Before Rachel starts, I really asked Rachel to give us an update on what happened. I've been very impressed with her work. So I wanted you to have an update on what happened when we closed in the spring and now what we're doing in the fall to support our special education students.
Thank you. Good evening to all of the trustees, and thank you, Superintendent Perez, for this opportunity. I will be sharing my screen, so give me 1 second. A small presentation for you. Okay. No one wants to see my desktop. Oops. Present, not share. Okay. Special education distance learning plan update. So in the spring of 2020, we were very surprised to go into distance learning quickly, and I was so impressed with all that we accomplished. We wrote prior written notices for every single family in the district receiving special education services to notify them of how we would be implementing their child's IEP during this time. In order to do that, we needed to create distance learning plans that included family outreach regarding what barriers they faced and input into the plan. Case managers made calls, we held meetings online to create distance learning plans of how we implement the IEP during this time. Those were each plan was then attached to the IEP as an amendment to the current plan. We created in my department a frequently asked questions document during the spring to help guide staff on what to do. We had 2 versions of that. We made a decision in partnership with the state and county, all of our special education assessments on hold because we were not able to complete them. That included both initial assessments and assessments that we do every 3 years to look at eligibility once a student enters the special education program. All annual IEPs were offered. Some parents asked to hold until a return to in-person instruction, and some we held virtually. And we held parent meetings. We had some special day classrooms that were moving from one location to another, and we held virtual parent meetings to answer questions since we couldn't take them for tours, et cetera, because the schools were closed. Some of the highlights in the spring was creativity. To second what Ripsia said, I was very impressed with teachers being very creative in the lessons that they provided. We had a very student-centered approach. All of our service providers and principals and teachers were really focused on what children needed. Parent and family support was prioritized for students in our pre-K program all the way through high school. And parents were consulted to help implement goals on at least a weekly basis. Teachers and service providers did live one-on-one meetings and small groups. One celebration is that all of our 12th grade students who were set to graduate and had an IEP were able to continue down the path that they had set for themselves and earn that diploma. We did not have anyone who did not earn a diploma in the spring with an IEP who was set to do so. We provided behavior supports for students that have behavior intervention plans, and that looked different depending on the student. Sometimes we would have Zoom meetings with kids, and sometimes we were consulting with parents to help with behavior that they were maybe seeing in the home. And we worked with our community partners to have positive relationships to help students have success during that time. We've made some changes in the fall. So we will be looking at our distance learning plans and considering whether those plans need to be updated. One thing we did is we're going to use a common template. After doing some research about recommendations being made in the state and in the county for this plan, we've picked one with some input, and we'll be moving forward with using that template. At every student's annual IEP, we will be using this new template that also addresses specifically what goals from the IEP can be addressed during distance learning, and if there are some that cannot. And then case by case, we may be doing this sooner. And how that will be determined will be with parent input. Is there a concern of the distance learning plan from the fall? Potentially, there might be a schedule change that requires us to update the distance learning plan. If we had any student who we saw a lack of the progress that we would have wanted to see or a lack of engagement, that would bring the team together to look at updating the distance learning plan. And then also if there are additional behavior supports for students with behavior intervention plans that we would like to add, for example. Assessment. So what we've been doing so far is reviewing all of our overdue and upcoming evaluations. That might be initials, triennials that we do every 3 years, or any other, supplemental assessment. We're giving consideration to determine of those coming before us, which can be completed during this time, during distance learning. And we are ensuring the safety of students and staff by implementing clear and detailed safety guidelines in order to begin to do assessments again. Our next steps as we will move forward with assessment is to send new assessment plans to all families that described the proposed assessment, asking for consent to complete while we remain on distance learning. Continuing to provide parents with the decision to opt to wait to complete this assessment until in-person instruction resumes. And then beginning to complete the various assessments as appropriate using remote methods, as well as some in-person assessment when it's necessary and safety allows. One focus for us in the fall is continued parent involvement and support. We have created a frequently asked questions for staff again this fall, and our next step is to rewrite those questions, but geared towards families. We plan to hold family nights for special education families. We will continue to get their input on our distance learning plans to meet the individual needs of students. And we are incorporating in those plans across the district increased opportunities for feedback on lessons and activities that are part of goal work. We are holding office hours and doing embedded assessment as part of our instruction and collecting data. And that is it, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Any questions from board
Hey,
members?
Rachel. Yes, Rachel, this is Tim.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, it's been so long since we've spoken. I hope you're doing well. And distance learning has been this extraordinary burden on parents and others, but with students with special needs, it seems like, there's an even greater burden. And I was just wondering how you're responding, what sort of support that you're providing for parents in the distance learning model.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more that this is a challenging time for everyone. And most especially if you have a child with a disability that you are needing to support at home during this time. So thank you for calling attention to that, because I would agree with you. Things we're doing, we're providing consultation to families on a regular basis so that they can speak with their child's speech and language pathologist, occupational therapist, counselor, to get input on how to support and continue to work collaboratively on the goals. Staff is meeting individually with kids and welcoming the input of parents as they work collaboratively. Their input is vital for our distance learning plans and our IEPs as we continue to hold them. And as I mentioned in my presentation, I also plan to do parent nights and for school sites in order to answer questions, give tips and ideas, and just support in any way that we can. I will be putting together a document of frequently asked questions of parents and sending that out via the student case manager, both in English and in Spanish.
Thanks, Rachel.
Great. Any other questions from board members? Big challenge. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We will go on to 11A, the 45-day budget revision for the 2020-21 budget. So Robert.
Yeah, thank you. So last week we had a board workshop on the budget, and at that time we gave a pretty in-depth view and some of the reasons why our budget is the way it is with the state funding, with the governor's budget, even restoring some of the cuts that were proposed in May, and due to the fact of quote unquote flat funding and ADA hold harmless, we were still basically losing money, about $1.2 million from what we were expecting in March. And then we also saw in that presentation that our funding was going to not just be flat, but actually be declining over the next couple years. We also mentioned in that we would be doing a 45-day budget revision, which is required by law if there are any significant changes in the governor's final budget. And obviously there were some pretty significant changes. And so what you have before you is the 45-day budget revision for approval. We do have in a different format than what the board's used to seeing. This is not a report that is done in the SACS state standardized account code structure format, but is in a spreadsheet format. And the reason we have it in this format is not only to make it a little easier for the board to see, but it's also because of the severity in changes. The Sonoma County Office of Ed has asked us to send them copies of the 45-day budget revision as well as cash flow statements. So reminder again, we're really looking at zero COLA over the next 3 years. That's all built into these numbers and these projections. A decrease in ongoing LCFF funding over the next 3 years, but of course our costs are going to continue to go up unnaturally. And we did also update the CARES funds in there, not only the revenues, but we also booked the expenditures in there as a placeholder in the budget, just so it doesn't give that false surplus that we identified in the budget workshop. Excuse me. So one of the big things that we did between the board workshop and now is we looked at positions that were open, vacant, and basically put a hiring freeze on those, and it was able to capture the savings and implement that into the budget. Again, our goal is to save as much money as we can and start building up the reserve, because we know we have some huge deficits to address over the next couple years. One of the other reasons that we wanted to do some adjustments to the budget and reduced our cost has to do with cash flow. And if you recall, the deferrals were a big part of the way that the state is financing that. That's going to cause some very severe cash shortfalls for us and all school districts. And so as much savings we can have by not spending money, that'll help us with our cash and cash flow on that. Are there any questions on the information presented?
I have a question for you, Robert.
Sure.
When we had our budget workshop, we had a positive number, which we knew for the 2021 year. That was because expenses hadn't been accounted for yet. So now that number's changed, like a big number change, to now being a deficit of that almost $67,000. Is that still capturing all the expenses?
So what we're looking at there, so there were two numbers that we gave during the budget presentation. One of those had the federal dollars in it, and And again, without the expenses. So that made it look like we had a huge surplus in 2021. So we basically put it in the expenditures on that to kind of negate that effect. The main thing that we've done here, we've made some slight adjustments to some of the revenue numbers, updating those as we're moving along in the closing process. But the big thing was capturing some of those savings related to freezing the positions.
So our deficit number, that 2021, as of right now, the 45-day revision, is not nearly as bad as I had anticipated it was going to be.
Correct, but those are really looking at one-time savings. I just wanted to remind the board of that, and it has actually no impact on our deficit in the future years. So the idea again is let's build up that reserve to help us weather the storm.
Okay.
Question from other board members? Robert, can you just summarize under revenues, federal reserves from 2020, 2021 of 6,092,000 dropping to 2,234,000 in 21, 22. The reason for that, just to remind everybody?
That's the CARES funds, that's the federal dollars. Those are the one-time dollars that we've got to help us with distance learning costs, implementation related to that. And we also have some money for directly related to COVID and cleaning, that type of thing, chemicals that we need to buy. So the two pots of money are in the federal in the first year, but we don't have those in the outgoing years. It's one-time dollars.
Okay. Any other questions? This form is easier to read, just smaller print.
Yeah, I have a question, Robert. The negative $67,000 for 2021, had you backed out the item that we tabled, or is that included?
That is not included. We were pending board approval to include those numbers in there.
So if you had included at $380,000 for the 2021 school year, we'd actually be operating in a surplus of about $320,000. Is that true?
That's correct overall.
That's right.
I just need to remind the board too, there's two components that we need to look at, and that's unrestricted and restricted. We do continue to have a much larger deficit on the unrestricted side. So that's one of the reasons that number's about 67,000.
Hmm.
Okay. So we're going to continue to update the board with the normal budget comparisons that we do each month. And that'll be at the next board meeting. We'll have these numbers as the basis, and then whatever changes that we do between now and the next month will be what the comparison is.
If you don't have any other questions from anybody, can I have a motion to accept the 45-day budget revision to the 2020-21 budget, please?
So moved.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Did I hear all the ayes? I think so, unless people were muted. Has everyone said aye?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Joe.
Okay. I'll assume that's 5-0. Okay, we will go to 12A, fiscal update and planning.
Okay, as you know, these are standing items that we have, and I'm going to go over just a few of these to update the board. For enrollment, the first part on that, we'll basically be resuming our normal monthly reports at the September meeting. That will go over our end of the month, August numbers. At this time, we're doing our 10-day counts, but 10-day counts are basically what we're looking at as kids in the seat, and it doesn't always give you a clear indication of what our actual enrollment is. In addition to that, we use these 10 days to do a lot of cleanup. And so those numbers are not accurate at this time. So once we know after the 10-day count, we get a little better handle. I will make sure that Dr. Perez has that information, and she can give you some preliminary information to the board pending our next board meeting. Parcel tax, I want to talk a little bit about that. I haven't done any updates on that for a little bit. As you know, we're in the process of closing our books right now and trying to get a little better, at that point, we know a lot more things. Budget is our assumptions, and whereas actuals are, we actually know what we did spend and where we spent it. For parcel tax revenues, we've started to see over the last 2 years the increase in parcels due to the developments in the areas. So since 2018-19, we've actually increased in paid parcels 714 additional parcels, and we're up to 15,450 parcels now, paid parcels. So that is an increase of revenue, ongoing revenue, and those numbers are already built in to the budget, the 45-day revision that you just looked at. Parcel Tax Oversight Committee, as well as the Bond Oversight Committee. These committees were kind of put on hold during the COVID epidemic or pandemic, excuse me. And we were not able to meet. And so we're going to be looking to bring together both of those committees to get caught up. And as usual, that information will be presented. The committee members will be presenting that information to the board. But both parcel tax and oversight committees we need to put back together, and it'll be a little bit challenging having to do these in a virtual environment, but they need to be done, and so we're gonna make it happen on that. The developer fees. So one of the questions we had last year, one of the concerns is during the time that schools were closed and everything was shut down, were we going to continue to collect developer fees? And we actually did. There was actually a little bit of a gap where we didn't have anything between February and April, but since then they picked up. And from April to June, we collected about $455,000 in developer fees. And so far this year, from July, we have another $143,000. So we're continuing to collect those fees. And again, they'll be used to help us offset our construction costs for current and future projects on that. Facilities update, we have the Evergreen multi-use building project. The new staff parking lot was just completed. The main parking lot should be complete in the next couple of weeks. The playground asphalt will be complete in the next couple of weeks also. And both sets of restrooms connected to the old restrooms are almost complete, so they've been renovated. The plumber is now installing fixtures there. So that project is underway, and just wanted to give you an update on that. The other project that we have going on right now is the high school track and field replacement. DSA accepted our plans as complete and should have approval within the next 4 weeks. A demolition will begin the week of August 24th. So that's the updates that we have for you.
Questions? Thank you. We'll go on to 12B, acceptance of gift and donations to schools and district. So we received John Reed various school supplies totaling $450 from a number of individuals. So thank you. I'll try to read the names without butchering them too much. Denny Amatiti, Charmaine, Mike, Debbie Benson Miller, Laura DeRudy, Tracy Farrell, Sherry Lorenz, Joyce Miller, George and Rosemary Moja, David and Erica Rodino, Jamie Sephora, Gloria Sanon, Jennifer Williams, and Jennifer Wildermuth. A number of, looks like people from the real estate, the dentists, and community members. Thank you very much for your donations for the John Reed various supplies. So can I have a motion to approve that, please?
So moved.
Have a second?
I want to say something.
Yes.
So we put together a little fundraiser for John Reed and raised supplies for 400 kids. So we were able to get them little backpacks, colored pencils, crayons, pencils, pencil sharpeners, glue sticks, just stuff to get started for the school year. And I just want to thank all the community members that did help, because talking to Monica Fong, the principal, they've never had anything like that there before. So it's times like these that we definitely need our community to step up and help out and help make a difference. And
So I agree, Jennifer. I've always seen that when different schools raise funds, and some of our schools don't raise as much fund as others. So when it looks like the realtors and some other people stepped up and did this, thank you to them. And I just don't know how to broadcast this more to other people, because I'm seeing this after the fact. And I, for one, am more than happy to donate to causes like this when they come up. So put my name on the list, please.
okay, definitely. And we're looking at some other stuff we can do too. So I'll let you guys all know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would have donated too. I didn't know about it till I saw it on the agenda after the fact.
Okay.
I want to reassure the board, but with distance learning, we will always willingly accept donations for our students. I think there's always going to be a need. And we could, we could probably consider every few months, because having the children at home, they will need supplies. So.
Great, super. Thank you. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Carries 5-0.
Sorry, President Brown. Trustee Gillis made the first. I'm sorry, who made the second?
I did.
Thank you.
Okay. 13A, board member reports and future agenda items. Tim, want to go first?
Oh, sure, thanks. I just have one thing. I'd like to ask the superintendent to bring a recommendation to the board in September at our regular board meeting on a walkthrough by a qualified vendor in the area of HVAC, looking at indoor air quality at all our different sites and buildings and rooms. I think, maybe usually I don't think walkthroughs cost any money, but maybe there's going to be a small fee. But I've been doing a lot of research on this and listened to tons of webinars and so forth. And I shared one of about an hour-long webinar with the superintendent from UC Davis, that UC Davis has a building safety institute and another, there was a professor who's director of that on the webinar, along with a professor from Lawrence Berkeley National Labs. Doesn't your son work there?
He works at Lawrence Livermore.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't know what he does because he's it's all high secret stuff.
But
I know where he works, but I don't know
among, I've learned more about HVAC in the last couple months than I ever thought I would know. But one thing that during this webinar, and I think Dr. Perez can maybe confirm this, is that it was technical, but it had a lot of practical guidance that I think we really need to look at if we're even going to consider going back to a hybrid model, because there seems to be a consensus in this industry that indoor air quality is just critical for mitigating the transmission of the virus. For example, like what they usually call HEPA filters, the MERV 13 will screen out 90% of the virus, in addition to particulates from fires, ash, and so forth. But I don't think all of our rooms, especially the portables, have those MERV 13 filters. I don't think they have the systems to support them. I don't know how many MERV 13 filters we have throughout the district. But another thing they said, the professor said in this webinar, is that it's really cheap to put in CO2 sensors. I don't know how many CO2 sensors we have in our buildings, because what those do is they measure the airflow. And so if they detect that there's poor airflow, then that would have implications for the virus, because with the micro droplets that you have with the virus, they sit in the air in a room for up to 44 hours. And so you need, they were saying you need like 500 CFM, cubic feet per minute airflow to prevent them from sitting in the air. And those are the ones that are most dangerous, because they go deeper into the lungs. They give a bigger dose of the virus to people in a room. And so this is something that the board, it would be really helpful for the board to have some information about what we could do, what's within our budget to do, and maybe, you know, what we can afford to do, but might want to consider down the line. But so maybe we can do it in phases. But I just think it's really important for the board to make informed decisions with the information necessary to protect our staff and students, because, you know, we always say the health and safety of students and staff is our first and foremost concern. But, you know, if we don't have the information to make an informed decision about indoor air quality, then we're neglecting that priority. And so I just hope that we can get a recommendation from a qualified vendor who can give us some good information about possibly what we can do to improve indoor air quality to prevent the transmission of the virus. Thanks.
Okay. Carissa?
I just want to thank all the staff and the IT department for working their butts off over the last couple of weeks. I know it's been really rough for everybody, including parents and families. It's just a different way we are doing education right now. So I want to thank everybody for going above and beyond. And that this, you know, are we going back? When are we going back? No, we're not. It's just been crazy for everybody. So thank you to all of our staff.
Right. Joe?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone as well. It's the way I feel about it, it's like a lot of really hard work, a lot of unknowns. And I feel like it's an emotionally tolling time because of the situations and sacrifices people are having to make just in the community. And, you know, it feels bad because I know, like, when we voted on tabling it, a lot of hard work and a lot of hard decisions and a lot of emotions went into just bringing it to the board. And then to say, you know, we don't want to vote on it right now. I'm sure that's hard as itself because you guys put a lot into it. And I just want to acknowledge that, like, I can feel the strain that it takes to come up with these solutions. And thank you.
Thanks. Jennifer?
I want to ditto that as well. I appreciate all of you and all of our staff, because everyone is, again, trying to be as flexible as they can and learn and grow. And everyone, I think, is pushing boundaries because we're learning and growing. And I especially want to reach out and say thank you to Julie, because I know you have really worked behind off with getting everything open as well. And especially without an assistant, I think you need an assistant. And I'm wondering if we owe you any more days off. So if you could check the calendar, no, seriously, because she did work a lot of extra days throughout this last year. So if there's days that you are supposed to be getting, I'd like to make sure you get them.
Thank you. Again, great team. This is, you know, an unbelievable team. So it's been a crazy year, but thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one other thing. I want to welcome Reagan and Addison to our board as our new student board representatives. So welcome, you guys.
So ditto on everything. Thanks everyone for their doing. This is challenging. We'll get through it. It's It's going to be enlightening. And I think if we just look at the glass as half full, we'll get there. And I think we have a team that'll do that. So thank you to everyone. And one step in front of the other, we'll get there. So thank you. Okay. So Myra, superintendent's report.
Yes. You know,
Good
I
to
want
you.
to echo the thanks. It has been, the red carpet was rolled out. People have been awesome. The district office staff is working hard, offering excellent ideas. Our union partners are there with us, hand in hand. The collaboration is amazing. It is difficult. This is the first time in my 34 years education where we've had a quiet, I put that in quotes, a quiet opening. I miss the kids, but we are plugging along. I've been able to meet the kids at the different distribution sites, and when we've been handing out textbooks, so good to see principals dancing and tigers at our schools. There's been patience, flexibility, 4,500 devices distributed, and everyone's working together. And we cannot do this without working together. So it's been awesome. And I just want to reassure the board that safety is our #1 priority, and that I was always in forefront of every decision we make. We're being overly cautious as to make sure that our staff is well protected. Anyway, and we look forward to send you the numbers, but the schedules have worked and it's taken hours upon hours, but it's because everyone's worked together, and it's been a phenomenal first 6 weeks. Thank you.
So just a suggestion, occasionally we're watching a few baseball games and they're piping in fan noise. We should pipe in student noise.
Maybe we'll have to do that.
That noise that helps us feel
Yeah.
good. All right.
I want to thank Myra for all of your hard work. We are really glad you are here.
Thank you.
We have B2, the Williams complaint in January, March,
Yes.
April.
From
No
January,
complaints?
yeah, January through June, we have not received any complaints.
Super. Well, with that, I guess we can adjourn this meeting. It's been late. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Keep up
Thank
all
you.
the good work. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.